Okay, so let's talk about the Royal Rumble. The winners this year, probably the worst kept secret in wrestling. But what if that wasn't a bad thing? What if the predictability was actually the whole point? Today, we're going to look past those obvious wins and dig into the brand new, super complex stories that were really being set up.
I mean, you saw this everywhere, right? All over social media. For a ton of people, the fact that Liv Morgan and Roman Reigns won felt like it was telegraphed weeks, maybe even months in advance. And yeah, that can kind of take the fun out of it. But here's a thought. What if the writers wanted you to feel that way? What if they were using that predictability as a kind of smokescreen for the real story?
And that's really the big question, isn't it? These wins, they weren't just the end of a match. No, they were the start of something so much bigger. They're capping off years of storytelling while kicking off these explosive new conflicts on the road to WrestleMania. So let's start with the women's winner.
For Liv Morgan, this was so much more than just a win. It was a coronation. She's been called the ultimate bridesmaid forever, always getting so painfully close, but never getting the win. This victory was the culmination of a long, frustrating, and honestly, a really compelling journey.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It really shows you the struggle. Back in 2023, she gets tossed out by Rhea Ripley with that insane head scissors takedown. Unforgettable. Then, a year later in 2024, she actually manages to get Jade Cargill over the top rope, only to get immediately dumped out by Bayley. That's 2 years in a row of being the runner-up. But this year, 2026, she finally finished the job.
But here's where it gets really interesting. It's how she won. To get that final victory, Liv had to eliminate her own tag team partner, Raquel Rodriguez. And in the interview after the show, she just says no hard feelings, saying it's because they just know each other so well. But if you've been watching WWE for a while, you know exactly what a line like that usually means.
Oh yeah, that simple little phrase, it is basically WWE code for a feud is brewing. So, are we seeing the setup for a massive teammate versus teammate clash on the grandest stage of them all? It really looks like the road to WrestleMania just got a whole lot more personal for Liv Morgan.
Okay, so let's switch gears to the men's side. Roman Reigns' victory felt just as inevitable, right? But just like with Liv, the real story here isn't the win itself. No, it's all the chaos that was swirling around it and the brand new quest it launches for the tribal chief.
And for a second there, you could feel it. The crowd absolutely went nuts when LA Knight's music hit. People genuinely believed that the ultimate underdog might just pull it off. But that hope didn't last long. The night and the win belonged to Roman Reigns, and his win was anything but clean. His win was just surrounded by pure chaos. You had this mysterious hooded figure showing up to help take out a huge threat like Braun Breaker, which just raises all sorts of questions about a new ally. Then there's his old rival Seth Rollins, who a lot of people think is faking an injury, just waiting to strike. And maybe the most suspicious thing of all, Roman's former advocate, Paul Heyman, was seen with Brock Lesnar, a guy with a long, bitter history with Reigns. This wasn't a simple win. It was one move in a much, much bigger game.
And all of this chaos seems to be pointing in one very specific direction: the World Heavyweight Championship. This is the one major title that has eluded Roman since his legendary win over Triple H way back at WrestleMania 32. For him, this isn't just another match. It's about reclaiming a huge part of his legacy. And here's where the two stories really start to line up. Just like Liv Morgan, it has been a 2-year grind for Roman to get back into this championship picture since he lost his undisputed titles. That parallel journey, that 2-year struggle, it adds this really fascinating layer to both of their victories.
Of course, a win this big is going to split the audience right down the middle. On one side, you have the skeptics, the people calling it predictable, maybe even overrated, especially when you have fan favorites like LA Knight still chasing that dream. But on the other side, you have the believers, who are arguing that after 2 long years of fighting his way back, it is absolutely his time to reclaim that throne.
So, let's put it all together. This predictable Royal Rumble, it wasn't the end of the story. Not at all. It was the starting gun for WrestleMania. It launched 2 massive story-rich collisions that are now set to just explode on the grandest stage.
So in the end, what we're left with are 2 perfectly crafted storylines. For Liv Morgan, it's a story of potential betrayal from her own teammate. And for Roman Reigns, it's a historic chase for the one title that got away, a path that's just loaded with conspiracy and sabotage. The Royal Rumble set all the pieces on the board. Now, we get to watch them all collide at WrestleMania.
Which, of course, leaves us with the ultimate question. After these incredible 2-year journeys filled with setbacks and strategy, both Liv Morgan and Roman Reigns are standing right on the edge of glory. But with all these betrayals and conspiracies brewing in the shadows, who will actually walk out of WrestleMania with the gold?